Ludwig van Beethoven lived from 1770 to 1827, so his life was over 20 years longer than Mozart's and about 20 years shorter than Haydn's. Beethoven was born in a German principality, and both Mozart and Haydn were born in the Austrian Empire. Although Beethoven's father hoped to launch his son's career by doing what Mozart's father had done, the younger Beethoven was too old at the time this happened to impress audiences, and he was thus a decidedly unsuccessful child prodigy. He did attract some favorable attention in this effort, however, and it led to his studying with Franz Joseph Haydn as well as with Johann Georg Albrechtsberger, a famous contrapuntist. Beethoven spent his entire adult career in Vienna, as opposed to Haydn, who spent only his last 20 years there, and Mozart, who spent only his last 10 years in that city. Beethoven occupied himself as a freelance musician during the 30-some years of his adult career, and he supported himself by teaching, composing, performing, and staging benefit concerts, just as Mozart did during his 1 decade as a freelance musician. Beethoven also derived a substantial income from patronage. Beginning circa 1800, Beethoven noticed the onset of deafness, a disability that eventually ended his career as a performer. Beethoven composed only 9 symphonies, and he wrote them for his benefit concerts. Mozart and Haydn wrote far more symphonies than Beethoven because they wrote most of their works of this type on command for their court employers. Beethoven's symphonies, in comparison to Mozart's and Haydn's, thus tend to be longer because all of them were intended for concert rather than for court performances. They also tend to be more detailed because Beethoven, who was never a court musician during his adult career, had much more time to spend writing them, and they, therefore, tend to have longer transitions. Both the number and the character of a classical composer's symphonies thus reflect how these works fit into his career.